All right, let's get right into it. Moringa. You've probably heard about it, right? On one side, it's hailed as this amazing, life-changing superfood. But then on the other side, you hear these whispers about some pretty serious risks. So what's the deal? That's what we're here to do. Cut through all that noise and get to what's real.
I mean, what a nickname, right? The miracle tree. People even call it the tree of life. And this isn't new. For centuries, it's been praised as this cure-all, even a major solution for fighting malnutrition.
And that, right there, is the big question. Is this plant actually a miracle? Or are there some hidden dangers that all the hype just happens to gloss over? Well, we're going to unpack both sides of it, and we're going to use the science to do it. So here's how we'll break it down. First, we'll dive into that miracle hype and its absolutely wild nutritional stats. Then we'll see what the science really says about the benefits. After that, we got to switch gears and look at the hidden dangers and some super important medication warnings. And we'll wrap it all up with a guide to help you be a smart consumer. All right, let's start with the big claim. Why on earth is it called a miracle tree? The answer, when you get right down to it, is its nutrition profile. It's just staggering. Seriously, the numbers are almost unbelievable. Okay, let's take iron, for example. We all think of spinach as the go-to for iron, right? Well, get this. Moringa leaves pack 25 times more iron per gram. 25! That's just a huge, massive difference. And what about calcium, for strong bones? We're always told to drink our milk. Well, Moringa has 17 times the calcium of milk. Just let that sink in. 17 times more. And it doesn't stop there. For things like eye health and your immune system, it's got 10 times the vitamin A of carrots. You can kind of see why that miracle nickname started to stick, can't you? And here you can see the whole picture laid out. It blows oranges out of the water for vitamin C, has way more potassium than bananas, and even more protein than yogurt. Nutritionally, it is just in a league of its own. I mean, it's got all 9 essential amino acids. It really is a powerhouse. But look, having a bunch of nutrients on paper is one thing. The real question is, do they actually translate into real-world health benefits that we can measure? So let's shift gears and see what the science has to say. So, researchers has really honed in on a few key areas, and you know what? The results are pretty promising. Studies are showing that moringa can have a real positive impact on blood sugar. It can help manage high blood pressure, and it's even been used to support the health of new moms and their infants. Let's zoom in on blood pressure for a second, because this is where the data gets really interesting and specific. We're seeing multiple studies now that show taking moringa is linked to a pretty significant drop in high blood pressure. And check this out. This is how specific the science gets. Big meta-analyses, studies of studies, found that, on average, moringa can lower your systolic blood pressure, that's the top number when you get it checked, by about 7.5 points. Now, that is a really meaningful result in the medical world. So the key takeaway here is that these benefits, they're not just theories, they're real. Okay, so we've seen the miracle side of the coin. Now it's time to flip it over and talk about the menace. Because for all its incredible benefits, moringa definitely isn't without its risks. And some of them are, well, they're pretty serious. And honestly, this is the part of the story that you don't hear about nearly enough. And the absolute first thing you have to understand is this. Not all parts of the moringa tree are created equal. The leaves, generally considered safe to eat. But, and this is a huge but, the root, the bark, and the flowers are a totally different story, especially if you're pregnant. They contain chemicals that can actually cause uterine contractions. In fact, they were traditionally used to induce miscarriages. So this is a warning we have to take incredibly seriously. And it doesn't stop there. The root actually contains a toxic substance called spiroxygen. Plus, even with the safe leaf powder, you can overdo it. Too much, we're talking more than about 2 teaspoons a day, can lead to things like nausea and an upset stomach, mostly because of all the fiber. There's also some concern, though it's more of a theory right now, that really high doses might interfere with how your thyroid works. All right, now we need to talk about what is maybe the single most important piece of safety information we have. If you take any kind of regular medication, you absolutely cannot afford to skip this next part. This is the fine print that really, really matters. So just stop for a second and really think about this. Are you on any regular meds? Because if you are, the information that's coming up next is absolutely critical. An interaction here isn't just a small side effect, it could be genuinely dangerous. So here's the breakdown. If you're on thyroid meds, something like levothyroxine, Moringa can actually stop it from working as well. If you're taking drugs for diabetes or high blood pressure, Moringa can ramp up their effects, which sounds good, but it can lead to your blood sugar or blood pressure dropping too low, which is dangerous. It can also mess with how your liver processes certain other drugs. So look, the bottom line here is non-negotiable. If you are on any medication, you have to talk to your doctor before you even think about trying Moringa. Okay, so now that you have all this info, the good, the bad, and the ugly, how do you actually make a smart, safe choice? That brings us to our final section, a little guide for the smart consumer. First off, it's really important to know what the rules are where you live. Just as an example, down in Australia and New Zealand, their Food Standards Agency, FSANZ, recently ruled that Moringa seed pods and oil can't be sold as food. Why? Because the safety data just wasn't clear enough. That should tell you something, right? Even the official regulators are being cautious. So, if you do decide to buy a Moringa supplement, what should you be looking for on the label? Well, in a place like Australia, you'd look for something called an ASUL number. Think of it as a stamp of approval. It's your guarantee that the product is officially listed and that it only uses pre-approved low-risk ingredients, which, for Moringa, usually means just the leaves. And that brings us all the way back to where we started. After looking at the incredible nutritional punch it packs and then weighing that against some pretty serious risks, what's the final call? Is Moringa a miracle or is it a menace? And the truth is, well, the answer is in the details. It's just not a simple yes or no question. The incredible power of Moringa is totally matched by its potential to do harm if you don't know what you're doing. So yeah, for some people, it might be a miracle. For others, it could be a menace. The most important thing to realize is that the real power here isn't in the plant. It's in you, in your ability to understand all these details and make a smart, informed choice for your own health.